To imagine this now, but way back in 1932, this absolutely stopped people in their tracks inside their homes, living rooms, literally with windows open on the street, because this was the very first time a royal had actually done this. And for many, the very first time they'd ever heard that voice. As ever, let me explain. Morning, good to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time out today. You all right? I'm not so bad, thank you. You know, when you think about it, there are very few things that when you think about today, what makes us absolutely stop, you know? I think many people would say it's mainly music, isn't it? You know, the very first time, say, you heard Elvis Presley or you saw him on the Ed Sullivan Show, swiveling those hips, right, girls? And you thought, wow, there's something to talk about at school the day after. Maybe it was the Beatles a few years later. Music is pivotal because I think we all remember the time that we were slightly shocked. It's a bit like the War of the Worlds and stuff like that. Everybody remembers those dramas that literally everybody spoke about the day after. And this was the case way back in 1932. This was all thanks to the very first broadcast by His Majesty the King to his subjects, to the Commonwealth and to the rest of the world. Now you have to remember that although sound had been around a little while at that point, all thanks to the jazz singer and Al Jolson and Warner Brothers way back in the late 20s, this now was, well, almost cutting edge technology because the King was speaking to the rest of the world, telling them exactly his plans and what he was doing on Christmas Day, all of that sort of stuff. Now, over here in the United Kingdom at 3 p.m. on Christmas Day, we all still stop to watch and listen and learn from our speech, you know, the King's speech as it is now, His Majesty the King, King Charles III. I remember watching the Queen for the very first time and being literally mesmerised because I'd seen pictures and we'd been told about her at school, but I'd never really heard her speak at such a long period of time. And I thought, what a wonderful voice, how British. I was really thrilled. You know, it's true though, isn't it? Now, what was fascinating is, way back in 1957, when the Queen did her very first televised speech, this was literally live to the nation from her drawing room, as she pointed out herself. And there she was, looking exquisite in diamonds and absolutely, you know, at the peak of her beauty, as it were. And more importantly, what I kind of think is she must have been slightly annoyed having to either wait for a Christmas lunch or have had it and think, I better not get some gravy down this frock, I'm on telly in a bit. And of course, this was a rating smash. Now, fascinating to think as well, in that day and age, it was live. And according to the man that was there, Richard Webber, he basically said she didn't fluff a line. She just was very, very aware about what was happening and what she had to do. He said she was the ultimate professional, could easily read a teleprompter. Now, the reason why, and I found this again really interesting, is you think about it now, we all know, of course, that the King's speech is pre-recorded, normally just a few days before Christmas. And people say, well, you know, why can't they do it live like they used to? Well, actually, this started with the Queen, simply because, cast your mind back to 1957, just to make that live broadcast would have seen so many people required, transmitters, cameramen, lights, sound, you know, a whole big team that were working around her at, say, Sandringham or Windsor, wherever they were doing it from. And you see, she felt really bad that they were being interrupted for their Christmas so that she had to do this speech. And so she just very gently said, is there, you know, what about perhaps maybe, and they all thought, oh wow, you know, she suggested it, we can now make this happen. And that's truly, according to folklore, exactly why the speech suddenly became, from 1960 onwards, then pre-recorded. Now, you can understand this. People say, oh, I'd still like to see it live. But really, do you want people to cut in? I know it could be done a lot simpler today. Perhaps even the King just pressing a button himself and going live on a live stream. Who knows? But either way, we still relish the message. It's still important. And I think what's really interesting is the pivotal part now of our Christmas Day. And when you think about it, the King's speech, as it was way back in 1932, literally broke new ground. And in many ways, it still happens today. Anybody else agree? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.